I am Krishna Patro from Computer Science Department, IRE College. Today, we will see one important question which is asked in Amazon, and moreover, this particular question was asked in many of the interview in technical round. This coding question is very important. You must thoroughly understand and you have to do properly. The problem is print a given matrix in spiral form. That means they will give a matrix. This matrix you have to print in spiral form. So earlier you print the matrix in simply number of rows and columns format. Now you print in spiral form. Instead of printing one by one in row by row, you have to print in a spiral form. This is the given question. The question given is given a two-dimensional array and print it in the spiral form. See one example they are given. 1, 2, 3, 4, that is the first row. 5, 6, 7, 8 is second row. 9, 10, 11, 12 in the third row. 13, 14, 15, 16 is in the fourth row. So that means it is a 4x4 matrix given. If this matrix is given, the output should come in a spiral form. That means after printing first row, it should come to again the first column. After printing first column, because it has to go in a spiral form. Again it has to go to last row. After printing that, again it has to go to first column. That means already the first row is over. Now after it has to stop at 5. Then it has to come second row, and already 8 is over. It should stop at 7 itself. Then it should go up to 11 because already 15 is printed. Then go up to 10. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That comes from first row. 4, 8, 12, 16. 8, 12, 16. That is from the last column. After printing that, it has to come again the last row. The last row is 15, 14, 13. 15, 14, 13. After that, it has to go straight. Again, 9, 5. After printing 9 and 5, it has to go in this row. Because already first row is over. Then it comes to second row. So, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. After printing 7, it has to come down. So, 11. After printing 11, the last element is 10. So, it has to stop here. That means it has to go in a spiral form. This is the given question. If you can see the diagram here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it has come down 8, 12 and 16. That means after printing this last column, it has to go to the last row. Then again it has to go to the first column. Then again it has to go to the second row. Then it has to come down. Then it has to stop here. Of course, the matrix can be any dimension. There is no restriction. It can be a square matrix or it can be a non-square matrix also. So, when this type of question is given, how will you solve it? Most of the time they will ask this type of question. Normal printing matrix is different and printing the matrix in a spiral form is different. And there is a simple algorithm you have to follow. The algorithm says create and initialize the variable k, starting row index, and m is the ending index, and up to l is the starting index and n is the ending index. That means you have to take m rows into n column. That means if there are m rows, n columns, you have to start from k equal 0 to m, 0 through to till mth row. Similarly, l equal 0 to l equal to n. That means you are making two separate index. So you have to put a loop. The loop has to repeat that many times. This matrix will be printing how many elements? M into n elements. So m into n means what? There are m rows, n columns. So every element of the matrix it has to print in a spiral form. So first initialize the two index k and l. K is the index which is counting my row index, and l is one more index which is counting my column index. And now you write a loop. The loop has to repeat until it covers all rows and all elements of the matrix. In each outer loop, traverse and print the element as square in a clockwise manner. It has to go in a clockwise manner. And print the top row. After printing top row, then print the rightmost column. First you have to print top row, then rightmost column, Then it has to print bottom row. First top row, then rightmost column, then bottommost row, then the leftmost column, then next row, then rightmost column, then bottom row, then most, like this it has to continue till it covers all the elements. So this is the process you have to continue for all the elements to print in a spiral form. This is the simple algorithm. Okay. And if you follow this, because it has to print all the elements, so the time complexity will be order of m into n. So this is the best algorithm to print all the elements in a spiral form. And the space requirement is fixed. There is no extra space required to print it. So when there is no extra space, the time complexity will be always order of 1. And the space complexity is order of 1. And the time complexity is order of m into n. So please observe this algorithm. This algorithm now you have to implement using Python. Understand this every step of the algorithm. So your loop having a condition. What condition? It has to cover all the rows and all the columns. So you made 2 index. K is one index starting from row, starting index to till ending index of the row. Similarly, L is another index which is pointing to column index, starting from 0th column to till the last column, because your matrix having m rows, n columns. So to cover all these things, you have to write a loop to print all the squares. And in the loop, what you have to print? You have to print top row, first one. Then you have to print the right column, second one. Then you have to print bottom row, third one. Then you have to print the left column. These 4 steps you have to repeat, so that entire matrix will be printed in a spiral form. Go from left to right until it covers all the elements of the column. Once you reach there, again come down till the bottommost row. Once you reach the bottommost row, again go from rightmost column to again the leftmost column. After coming here, again you have now reached what? The 0th column. That means the last row. From this last row again go till the topmost row. Already 1 row is over. That means it has to go last but 1. So it has to repeat this process until it covers all the elements. So now we'll see how you can solve this problem using Python. Now let us go to the Jupyter notebook. Now let me have a small program to print all the elements. This. First of all, you have to decide how many rows and how many columns. Let me say there is a matrix A equal to, generally in Python, how will you represent a matrix? The matrix is represented in terms of list. List is what? The collection of elements. So when you say there are set of rows, then you have to attach a sublist. That means list within a list. Every row is one list. So now initially the matrix is represented in empty block. Now first row is having 1, 2, 3, 4. First row. Comma. Second row having 5, 6, 7, 8. That is second row. So I am representing first matrix. Of course you can read it also. Here I made it fix. Comma. Next row. Because I told you in Python, the matrix is represented in terms of list. So first initially I created an empty list. Inside the empty list I am inserting the rows. Row is nothing but again one list. Next one is 9, 10, 11, 12. That means this is third row. So here what is the dimension of this matrix? The dimension of matrix is there are 3 rows but 4 columns. If at all you want, you can have 1 more column also or 1 more row also. Assume 13, 14, 15 and 16. So that means how many rows? Row equal to 4. 4 rows are there. And how many columns? Column also 4. There are 4 rows, 4 columns. That means a 4 by 4 matrix. Now this matrix I want to print in spiral form. So for that I will write a small method called spiral matrix. So I will write my method spiral matrix. Spiral matrix print is my own method. This method I have to call it. I have to write it. Now here I am calling. What are the parameter I have to pass? The number of rows in the matrix R, number of columns that is C, and the name of the matrix A. So these parameters I am passing. This method I have to define it so that will print. So here I am calling the method. So what I will do? I have to write the method. How to write a method? So in Python there is a keyword called def. So write def followed by, because here what is the name of the method? Print this. And what are the parameters you have to pass? That you would write. Here I am passing m rows, comma, n columns, comma, my matrix A. So m number of rows are there, n number of columns are there. Here m is nothing but my number of rows, n is nothing but number of columns, A is nothing but the matrix. So these values I have to print in a spiral form. So to solve this problem, I need various index, because those index I have to calculate properly. I will be using the following variables. I will use one k. K will be pointing to my starting row index. K is my starting row index. I will use starting row index. Similarly, I will use L, that is starting column index. Starting column index. Okay. For the timing, let me use these three. Enough. Initially, from where, which row and which column I have to start? So I will make k equal to 0. Initially k equal to 0 and L also 0. Initially k 0 and L 0. And this process I have to repeat to print all the elements of the matrix. So whenever you want to repeat multiple times, always use a loop. Put a loop. While what condition I should write? Because I have to cover all the rows as well as all the columns. So my k should cover all the rows. M is nothing but number of rows. So my k is the starting row index. M is my ending row index. This should be satisfied. And my L is what? My column index, starting column index. L should be less than 10. So I got number of rows and number of columns, and this has to repeat for all these things. First of all, now I have to print first row. First row always start from 0th row. In the first row, how many columns are there? There are n number of columns. So it has to cover entire row. So that means it has to print all the columns. So I will put a loop for I in range starting from the first column, that is L, because L is my 0th column. L starting until where it has to go till the last element. The last element is my n, because there are n number of columns. And with step of 1. So automatically by default the step is 1. So no need to write. Now after starting from Lth place, it has to go up to n, and it has to print. What is it to print? It has to print the value of my matrix. What is the name of the matrix? A. My which row? That is 0th row. So my row value is k. K is fixed. 0th row, 0th column, 0th row 1th column, 0th row 2nd column, 0th row 3rd column. Like this, it has to continue till end. So kth row, but ith column. Now I start from 0 to till n. So after printing this entire row, that means first row is over. So next time the k should start from 1th index. So my first row is over. So what I will do, as the first row is over, so here I will write printing first row. Print to first row. So after printing first row, what I will do, because next time when I come, first row I should not print. That's why I will make k equal to k plus 1. So first row is over. So next time onwards, it has to go to second row. That's why k is incremented to 1. After printing first row, it has to come to rightmost column. So rightmost column means what? If there are 3 rows, it has to print 3 rightmost columns. If there are 4 rows, it has to print 4 rightmost columns. So I have to print the rightmost column. Now print rightmost column. Print rightmost column. So this rightmost column, that means the last column, it has to again print for I in range. From where it has to print? From kth row. Already this row is over. It has to come from k to till last row. Last row is my m rows. So range of starting from k until my m. Until m. Now this loop, it has to print the rightmost row. So how to print? Print a of my I has to change and the rightmost column is fixed. So because here 3 rows, how many rows I pass? Observe here. There are 3 rows, 4 rows, 4 columns. No, 4 column means what? The index are from 0, 1, 2, 3. So 4 means I should subtract -1. So here instead of n, I'll write here -1. Instead of, because that last column 0, 1, 2, 3, but my value is actually 4. Actually, when you say, because our index are from 0, that's why I'm making -1. If I write this way, what will happen? It is printing completely one row. But in Python, to give a gap, you can write end equal to space. I'll give a gap. Similarly, in the first row also, I'll give end equal to some gap. So that after printing every element, it has to give a space. So first row is over, then the rightmost column is over. When the rightmost column is over, next time, because my how many columns are there? N number of columns. When I repeat second time, the number of columns has to reduce, because earlier it was printing 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. Next time when I go, it has to print only 3 columns. So that's why what I will do, after that, I will reduce my value of n equal to n-1. Earlier, see, k was incrementing. After printing first row, k was incrementing because it has come to 0. Similarly, after printing this last column, it has to come to this one step back. That's why n equal to n-1. So first row is over, last column is over. Now first, last. Now it has to come to bottommost row. So it has to come to bottommost row. Bottom row. So to print bottom row, what I have to do? I have to put a condition whether my k is less than still m or not. If k is less than m, then I will continue. If k is already reached bottom, then I will not do. So if k less than m, then I will do the work. What work? Printing of last row. Put a condition. How many time I have to print? That depends on the number of columns. So I have to again put a loop. Put a for loop for I in range. I in range. It has to come from the rightmost column. That means n-1th column till beginning column. Beginning column is L, because my L is the index. My L is the last index -1, because it has to go last but 1, comma, and it has to come in the negative direction. So -1, because you are coming from right to left. So put a -1 and print it. Print the matrix A of my, what is it? Column is changing. My, what is it? The bottommost row, because bottommost row is represented by M. So what I will do? m minus 1. Because m is 4 means 4th row is not there. Actually, because our index start from 0, that's why m minus 1. M minus 1 row number is fixed. Same row, but column is changing. So, my column is controlled by I. And after printing this every element, it has to give a gap. So, comma, end equal to space. So, I am keeping a space between the elements. So, this is printing for what? Bottommost row. Once one row is printed, now earlier there were 4 rows, now it has to reduce. So, what I will do, m equal to m minus 1. M is representing our last row, because now last row is already over. So, that's why I am reducing m equal to m minus 1. So, next time when the spiral comes, it will come to up to m minus 1. So, m equal to m minus 1. Now, you have to go to the again left column. Print the first column. Print first column. Okay. So, printing column also again you have to repeat. From where you have to start? Already you reach the last column. From last column you have to go up till the last but one row. So, here I will put again condition. Whether my L is still less than N or not. If L is less than N, because N is nothing but number of rows, L is my low index. If this condition true, then I will come inside, then I will put a loop, because it has to repeat for I in range, from where it has to print, it has to go from the leftmost column till, means leftmost column row, it has to go to topmost row. Range from m minus 1th row till k minus, because k is my row index. Already first row print means k plus 1 already has come, it has come to that row. So, k minus 1. And as it is going from bottom to till top, you have to give a negative index, negative step, minus 1. Once this loop is over, then it has to print. Print what? Print the matrix A of. Now, which one is fixed? My I is fixed. Means I is changing. My leftmost column is fixed. L is fixed. After printing this element, it has to give a gap. So, give a space. Now, already first row is over. Last column is over. Bottommost row is over. Then, the first column. So, now these 4 columns, means 4 steps, it has to repeat in a loop. After that, my low index, L equal to, L has to increment, L equal to L plus 1. Because already I told you K and L, I am using 2 index. K who is controlling the row, L is controlling the columns. That's why they using K and L, I am going in a spiral form. Now, this loop, let me run. I hope, please read this one. K is the starting row index, L is the starting column index. Of course, M is the number of, M is what? Number of rows. That means I can say this is the last row index. Last row index. Okay. Similarly, N is what? N is the number of columns. Number of columns. That means my last column index. Of course, our index starts from 0. The last column index will be n minus 1. And last row index will be m minus 1. So, in the program, you have to control this way. So, this loop is repeating for all the rows and for all the columns. Now, this is my matrix already given. This matrix I want to print in a spiral form. Now, let me run. Yeah. If you observe here, 1, 2, 3, 4 comes in first. Then 8, 12. 8 is what? The next. Now if you observe here, I will put in a form. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now observe here how the value is coming. First 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then it is printing what? 8. After printing 8, then comes to 12 because it is going last. Then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 16. If you observe here, first it is printing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 is coming, fine. Then 8 is coming, then 12, then 16. That means the last column. Then 15, 12, 13, 15, 14, 13. After that 9, 5, 9, 5, then 6, 7, then it has come down 11, then it has come to 10. So 10 is the last column. So this way this output comes. So this is the way you have to write. Okay. Of course, you can now you may say I want to write 3 rows, 4 columns. 3 rows, 4 columns. That means this value I want to remove. Here what I write 3 rows. Number of rows are 3, but number of columns are, so 3 rows, 4 columns. Yeah. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 16. Of course, this is not there. 8, 12, then 11, 10, 6, 7. Yeah, that means it has stopped here. So this way it works. So this is the way you have to solve it. So this is all about your how to print the matrix in a spiral form. Most of the time in the exam they will have this question. So try to practice this question very well. Okay, and do not to by heart the steps, and try to understand every row and every statement of the program. So what is the time complexity of this program? Because this is repeating m rows, n column. So order of m into n. So the time complexity is order of m into n. And what is the space complexity? As it is not requiring any extra space, it is doing there itself. So it is taking fixed memory. Space complexity is order of 1. This is the way it works. Okay. So try to read this statement, everything, then see the output. Of course, if you want to row number of rows dynamically also, so how to find dynamically if you do not know? So you can write length of A, that is nothing but number of rows. Similarly, if you want to know number of columns, instead of 4 you can write length of array of 0th row, because number of column is nothing but the number of elements in the every row. So now if you run also same output. Yeah. Now assume I am keeping one more 13, 14, 15 and 16. So here now this will be length is 4 and column also 4. Okay. So this way this output also change. Okay. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.